Hello. So far I've given my views on a 70mm refractor by Celestron, a 70mm refractor by National Geographic, a 114mm reflector by National Geographic, a 114mm telescope by Celestron, and a 130mm telescope by Orion. These are all entry-level scopes. I'd like to give my view today on this Aomekie 76mm Reflector. It's a below entry-level scope, what they call a hobby killer, a department store telescope. I was surprised at how light it is. Yeah, Celestron and Orion and several other companies make 76mm reflectors, and they all weigh at least twice as much as this one. They have a lot of plastic. This has a lot of light plastic. Very, very light. It is, however, feature-filled. A 76mm diameter, little small mirror, 700mm focal length, which give it about a f9.2 focal ratio. Comes with a red dot finder scope. Comes with two lenses, Kellner, 10mm and 25mm. Comes with a ×3 Barlow. And Aomekie was awfully optimistic. I couldn't get this thing to focus worth beans. A 2x Barlow would have been a lot better. That would have brought the magnification up to 140. And this is capable of 140 magnification, but 3 times is too high. Comes with a moon filter for looking at the bright moon. Comes with this gizmo here. You put your eyepiece in here, you put it out, and you put your telephone right there, put it in there. You can take pictures using your telephone. And it comes with this little thing, which allows you to press the take picture button on your phone remotely. And that's useful because this is very, very, very light. If you touch your phone, if you touch the eyepiece to try to focus it, it gets all wobbly for a couple seconds. Most wobbly telescope I've used. I paid $38 for it. It retails for $75. It was on sale. For $38, it's a pretty solid telescope. Has a it's got screws right here, so you can column it when you line the mirrors. Up here it uses these little twisty things to move the mirror on the secondary mirror around. The focus is plastic, very, very light plastic. And I was surprised to find that if you take out the eyepiece, you can just stick a regular dedicated astronomy camera in there and bring it to prime focus. So you take pictures of the sky with a camera without the Barlow lens, which is useful. This focuser is very, very thin plastic. It is, however, kind of solid. It only has 2 screws instead of the usual 4, but it feels solid when you're focusing in and out with it. It does not have one of those screws that locks it down, but if you put a heavy camera on this, it'll pull the whole telescope. I currently have it, the legs partially extended. If it's fully lowered, I gotta lean down to look through it because the legs are real short. If it's fully extended, it's too tall and you wouldn't be able to see me. The tripod, however, is not all that rickety. The mount, however, is. Oh, and that's why I'm reviewing this telescope. I've reviewed a couple that have handlebar mounts and a couple that have equatorial mounts. I have not reviewed anything that uses this. a yoke mount. I'm going to have to do the yoke mount after this. I have a tabletop Dobsonian, so I can show you what a Dobsonian mount is. The yoke mount differs from the handlebar mount in that it has a, I'm supposed to be over here to do this, but you couldn't see it if I were over here. It has a slow motion control. It controls up and down. And then sideways, it has a bolt here which tightens it down or loosens it up. So it's slightly better, actually, than a handlebar mount, assuming you compare it with a real rickety handlebar mount. I'm sure a heavy-duty yoke mount would be better in every respect to a handlebar mount. The optics aren't that bad. Although it has a spherical mirror, as I've said before, the way you defeat spherical aberration, fuzzy view, is to have a smaller aperture and a longer focal length. This has a very small aperture compared to the focal length, so it gets a fairly clear view, as long as you're not using the ×3 Barlow. Would I recommend it? Well, I've been recommending the other scopes if you're poor and don't have no money, like got 100, 200, 250 bucks. If you have less than 100 bucks and you're careful with it, you can actually practice with this and probably get pretty good with it for learning the sky and putting your cell phone up there to take pictures without spending any more money or anything. And I don't know why they call these things hobby killers. If I was a youngster or somebody just getting into the hobby and I got this, I'd have to try a little harder to make everything work, but you're going to end up having to try real hard to make anything work in this hobby anyway. So I don't have a problem with below low-end scopes. If, these things cost $75 on Amazon. I bought it on sale for $38. If you can buy one of these for $38 and that's all you can spring, it's better than a pair of binoculars. You get a steadier field of view, you take pictures, and the view's not bad. In fact, the view's really good for $38. So I'm not going to recommend you buy a sub $100 telescope unless you are having a hard time coming up with $100. In which case, this is better than the $38 refractors you can find. I will say that. And that's about all I have to say about this scope. So until I see you again, happy trails.